So I've just started the recording. If you would not like to be recorded, please make sure that your video is off for this Zoom. So Salam alaikum, my name is Aisha, and I'm going to be the moderator for this lecture today, inshallah. So this is on behalf of Salam Sisters, and we'll just start off with some ground rules. Just to start with, making sure you're muted and your camera is switched off, unless you would like to say something after the keynote speaker has done her lecture. Thank you so much for joining. Jazakallah khair, and I hope you have a good session today, and I hope we all can gain something from today's lecture. So today's lecture is on cybersecurity, and I'm sure there's so many things that we've been hearing about cybersecurity recently. How safe can we be on the internet? It seems like the internet is a new thing, but it's been around for the past couple of decades. However, this is something that people are still struggling with in terms of being safe on the internet. So this is why we have this keynote speaker in today to further support us into making better choices when it comes to the internet. So I'm sure we have lots of stories and experiences with this topic, whether old or young. We can be victims of being, I guess, duped on the internet with security. So this is what we're going to explore today. So our keynote guest is, she's called Shakirat Oraji Olaogun. She's the Chief Coordinating Trustee of the Shade of Women Foundation, and she oversees the administration, programs, and strategic plan of the foundation. She did cybersecurity, her master's in cybersecurity at the University of Salford in United Kingdom. And she's also had work experience working at KPMG Professional Services, as well as Wema Bank as an information analyst in the Department of Information Technology. And she was also an assistant lecturer at Bells University of Technology. And she also worked as a cybersecurity intern in the Central Business District in Abuja. So she has lots of experience in this topic, and Salam Sisters gives her a warm welcome. Sister Shakira, could you please join us?
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum salam. Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing today, sister?
Alhamdulillah. And you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Good,
okay,
good.
So I'm just gonna hand it over to you to begin your lecture today to help us all do better with our cybersecurity, inshallah.
All right. I'm just going to share my screen. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough. Aisha has done a bit of introduction, and I think that suffices. Just to share my screen. Yep. Yeah. Like she said, I'm Shakira by name, and I'm a cybersecurity enthusiast. Just a brief intro about myself. I know Aisha has done that, but a brief recap of who Shakira is. My background is in computer science at Babcock University. I also had my MSc bioinformatics in from Demofort University, Leicester, around 2006, 2007. I also delve into have them going for PhD in human computer interaction, though uncompleted at the International Islamic University, Malaysia, around 2011 to 2016. And at the moment, just rounding off my MSc Cybersecurity, Threat Intelligence and Forensics at the University of Salford, Manchester. At the more also, I had a bit of employment history, KPMG, when KPMG was still at the Gerard Road, Ikoyi, as an intern. I also had my NYC at Wema Bank. I also became an assistant lecturer at Bells University of Technology. I also was a supervisor to the National Open University Ikoyi Study Center. And my last academic sojourn was at First Technical University in Ibadan. And then I moved to Abuja also to be an intern at Afenod, cybersecurity intern at Afenod Enterprise in Central Business Area in Abuja. And at the moment, though I'm running up my cybersecurity, I'm also being coached or being trained for junior SOC bootcamp, which is UK funded at the Rachel Cyber Academy here in Manchester. So let's dive into the topic of today. The topic actually was going to be the internet, how secure are we? And basically what that means is what really is data security, right? A lot of us, how do I put it? A lot of us is novice when it comes to securing ourselves. We just put ourselves out there without knowing the implication, without even, without even having the thought of, stepping backward and try to see that all this information that I'm putting forward, how secured am I? So I'm going to post a scenario which was coined from C Coach Online Report. So here is a 19-year-old running for public office in New Hampshire found out about the importance of following internet safety rules the hard way. His opponent found his images in his social media posts that were sexually suggestive and referenced past drug use. Just like that, his political career got crashed and burned upon takeoff. But unfortunately, the truth is that he isn't the only one. Some of us will put so much information on the internet that at the end of the day, internet never forgets. And so in the process of maybe you want to run a political career or even that you are looking for a job, your past activities on the internet is being looked at for, and then maybe you were very malicious or notorious in your past life, and then before you know it, that position that you're actually seeking for, that you are capable of even, with all your expertise, would be taken up from you. You will not even smell it. You just realize that, oh, they never got back to you. The world is a global village now that it's just me typing one or two things behind my keyboards. I can find whoever I want to find, except that individual does not have an email account or does not even have a social presence on the internet. But once you have a social presence on the internet, I can tell you for a fact that within a twinkling of an eye, you can be searched upon, and all your information, even if you think you've deleted all the information, you will be figured out. So I just posed that scenario because I know a lot of us, or some of us, fall into that category. We put ourselves out there without even knowing the consequences of all the information or all the things, the exchange that, back and forth. And then before you know it, I mean, unfortunately, it might be that it is too late to turn back the hands of time. So for fact is that hackers are still all around looking for personal information everywhere. And once they get hold of that information, especially for those in the developed world, once they get hold of that information, be it your credit information, credit card information, or even your bank details, or even your, professional professional details, they can use it for malicious malicious acts. So we need to be careful because a lot of us are not even careful how we surf the internet. I mean, some people, you see them even commenting on issues that either is so controversial, or issues that are so ethnic biased, issues that are so religious biased. And the unfortunate thing is that people are looking, especially recruiters, for those on LinkedIn. You see that LinkedIn has already created its own, or posed itself as a um, professional platform. However, some people still go on their LinkedIn and do all sorts of things, either to post pictures, either to do some unnecessary things. And what that does to you is that you don't know when you're looking for that job, because recruiters are on that LinkedIn profile. They look at you, and then there's a role that wants to be given, and they just say, oh, that young lady or that young man that is always talking about, either politics, either anything. And they just, no matter how qualified you are, no matter how robust your CV is, no matter how intimidating that CV is, once they go through one or two search engines and they find you so controversial, they rather not get you involved. So we need to be careful. Also, and so now, what are the risks that people surfing the internet without being intentional? People going on the internet without being intentional, without having it at the back of their mind that, oh, what am I really going to do on the internet? These are some of the risks that I have put down here. The risk of you actually going to a malicious website without you knowing. I mean, either we call it naivety or we call it ignorance. You just stumble from one side to the other, you just visit website, and you don't know that the website that you are visiting at that particular instance is malicious. It's not good to go. I mean, it's a very, very bad website that you're even supposed to visit, and then you go visiting it. Other risks are that you get phishing mails, you get emails in your inboxes, and then they send you a link, and then you click ignorantly, still naivety, still playing at you. You click on the link, and then before you know it, all your information is already taken. And then you keep wondering, oh, I'm receiving credit debit to say so amount has been withdrawn from my account. And then you'll be wondering, I didn't go to the bank to do any transaction. I didn't go to, so how come? You would not know that mistakenly you have clicked a link that will look as if it's coming from your bank, either from your bank or either from a bank that you know that you don't even have an account with. Say, for instance, I have bank with GT, and then the next thing, First Bank is sending me mail saying that, and then because of, my own naivety, I don't know, or perhaps my greediness, to say that, oh, First Bank, they said click on this link to you'll be credited, maybe 50,000 naira. Out of greediness, you go ahead and click, and then before you know it, all your informations are just at their fingertips. Now, also, because some of us are also not so conversant with these things, we fraudulently browse, shop on fake websites. whether social media, whether dating site or charity or gambling website, you do not know. It just seemingly look as if, oh, this is charity heart, or this is, humanity for all these so-called website that, okay, maybe you've heard of the organization before, maybe Salam Sister, for instance, and you think once you see Salam Sister's logo, then that is Salam Sister, without you knowing that that Salam Sister, one way or the other, has been cloned. The website has been cloned. It is not a Salam Sister website. And then you just put all your information, whether you want to give charity, and then you put all your bank details, all your card details, and before you know it, so many transactions will go behind you that maybe you just wake up the next day and realize that you do not have any amount of money in your account. And again, some of the risks is that you also expose yourself to inappropriate content. As Muslims, we know that there are certain things that we are not even supposed to. As the Quran has said, you lower your gaze. So lowering your gaze does not physically mean that, okay, I put my eyes down. I want to walk and then I just put my eyes down. No, it also encompasses that you maintain or you see what you check on the internet. Not every canary that is being posted on the internet is what you want to look at, is what you want to. So because you do not know, because you are naive, you just everything goes, oh, this website goes, and then before you know it, some will go into porn site, some will go to so many, some will even go to dark web, some will even go to sites that they just teach them criminal acts. These are the risks of when you do not know how to intentionally solve, when you do not know how to intentionally make use of the so-called the internet. So, having said that, it boils down to the fact that you have to take your privacy so important. You have to take your privacy so important. You have to be so deliberate, intentional about how you are being represented on the internet, or about how you yourself represent yourself on the internet. So, which further takes me to the fact that before you can even, the first step, I would think, it might not necessarily be chronological order, but the first step in being intentional about how you solve, about how you go through, internet, is that what kind of what browsers do you use to browse? For some of us in the cybersecurity field or in the information security field, we know some browsers, that these browsers will take you to dark web. These browsers will take you to that place that they do shitty things. But for an ordinary person that does not really know what cybersecurity and does not even care to know what cybersecurity is all about, he or she just wants to go on the internet and just want to browse, which is fine. What are the steps such individual? I mean, the first thing is that, what browser are you using? Are you going to be using Google Chrome? Are you going to be using Microsoft Explorer itself? Are you going to be using Firefox? Are you going to be using Safari for those that are using iPhone and MacBook? Are you going to be using, list of them? You've got. Are you going to be using Brave? Are you going to? There are numerous web browser out there, but you need to know which one is good for you. I mean, for everybody. And when I say which one is good for you or for everybody, which are the ones that are known universally or globally that, okay, these are web browsers that at least to a larger extent has been authenticated that these are good browsers. That's the first step we take to being intentional of me wanting to be on the internet and me also wanting to, interact on the internet. So, like I said, your browser is the first step that you take cognizance of. However, there are also numerous steps of securing yourself on the internet. The list are enormous, they are not exhaustive, but as you become intentional about your surfing the net or about you being on the internet, you yourself will realize that this list, there are so you even discover so many things more than whatever I will be talking about today, or whatever you might have heard previously, or what you might, in the future also hear people talk about how you can get yourself secured. But the truth about the matter is that we can only strive to get ourselves secured. 100% security cannot be guaranteed, but we can try. We can try to reduce the effect. We can try to reduce our susceptibility. I mean, our being susceptible to malicious hackers, or to cyber bullies, or to people that have, malicious intent towards us. So I've tried to list some of these, what's it called? Some of these steps, or some of these things that if we do them intentionally, we are likely to be 80%. I'm not going to say 100, but between 70-80% be secured in a way while on the internet. So here are the list. I have got, sorry, I didn't know that I wasn't on slideshow before. So here are the list. You have to keep your personal information professional and limited. And then this speaks volumes to those on LinkedIn, most especially, because LinkedIn has been designed for professional, a lot of professionals are on LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that your presence on LinkedIn is purely professional. You are not on LinkedIn for chit-chatting. Perhaps other social media handles, maybe Facebook, maybe Instagram, maybe Twitter. In fact, I'm even going to exclude Twitter because a lot of learning goes on Twitter. So make it professional if you're on LinkedIn or if you're on Twitter. Just make it professional. Now, keep your privacy settings on. When we talk about keeping privacy settings on, it means that you must intentionally, and I repeat, you must intentionally have a good antivirus. Now, there are two different types of antivirus. They are the local antivirus one, and then there are the one that is for web browsing. Meaning, if you are on the internet, perhaps you are using a Kaspersky or you are even a Norton on any of these antivirus, always go, because depending on how frequent you are going to be on the internet, if it's like somebody like me that 24/7 I'm on the internet, then it will be unadvisable for me to get an antivirus that is just local. Local means just local to my system. I would go for an antivirus that will be internet compliant. What do I mean like that? That antivirus will also be checking for me while on the internet. So the difference between a local antivirus and a web antivirus is that the local one is just local on your system. So okay, somebody brings in a flash drive, or you just want to scan for viruses, and that's done. But for the web antivirus, as you are going from one side to the other, it scans the website you are even going to in the first instance. And that's why some, depending on the antivirus, Kaspersky or McAfee are so, they are so aggressive and very sensitive, even to the website that you think that, oh, this is just a normal website. I give an instance. My Shade of Women Foundation website, unless I switch off the firewall setting, unless I switch it off, if that firewall is on, McAfee will not allow me to even access that website. That's how to say how sensitive McAfee is, or how deliberate some of these web antivirus can be. Even genuinely, that you yourself know that, but this website is not a malicious website. Some of these antivirus will not even allow you. So I have to manually, which is what that means, I have to go to my privacy settings and say this firewall, it has to be off. For the moment that I want to visit this particular website, because I know that there's no that particular website is not malicious in any way, or I want to spend 5 hours, and then I will set my privacy settings to say that, oh, my firewall, you have to be off. Maybe when I switch off my system, when it is restarting, then be on. I have conditioned that privacy setting so that it will allow me to do whatever I want to do on that particular website. But normally, it wouldn't allow me because of the sensitivity, because it feels that, oh, it doesn't recognize this website to be a valid website. Also, you have to make sure that the kind of internet that you are using is also secured. So I see a lot of people make mistake now. You are going from, you've left your home where you are secured. I mean, whether you are using BT, whether you are using MTN, whether you are using Globalcom, yes, it's secured because you paid for that subscription. And then you find yourself in Murtala Airport, you find yourself in Manchester Airport, you find yourself in a public domain, and they tell you, oh, Wi-Fi is free. And then you just quickly, oh, because Wi-Fi is free, let me quickly log on to. This is the fastest, the easiest way hackers get to people, because they know that some people are so naive. Anything that is free is what some people like. So definitely they will just not chat it. Oh, and then you will not know. I tell people, if you think that you cannot be 100% off the internet and you find yourself in a public domain, please do not make any bank transaction on that so-called network. Make sure that whatever you want to, for me, the advice is don't even log on to any free Wi-Fi. But if you is a must, maybe you are connecting, you've got your family at the other side and they are waiting. The plane is supposed to be landed, supposed to have landed, and it's not. And then you just want to communicate. Oh, it's just a WhatsApp, whatever. I just want to send message via WhatsApp. Okay, that's fine. To me, it's a lesser evil. If you ask me, don't even go near it. Anything free Wi-Fi, don't go near it. But please, if at all you then want to go, make sure you don't do anything that has to do with your bank transaction. Because when we say hackers do hack people's phone or people's, what's it called, internet or browser, they are everything they can get at that instance that you are using that public Wi-Fi is everything they're going to get. So if you are on GTB website, you have logged in your bank details, everything will just be sent to whatever traffic where they want to send it to. And then before you know it, they have your details. They might not strike you immediately because they are also smart. I tell people, hackers are the most intelligent, the most, when you're looking for people that have got the highest IQ. So they won't strike almost immediately. It is the novice of hackers that they almost immediately they go to your bank. Blah, 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 they know. The most effective ones will not. Within 1 month or 2 months, they might not even, you will not even know that, oh, your account has been compromised. And that's why you hear banks. That's why you hear part of internet security. They say you must often, every 90 days, I think that's the minimum. You must, at every 90 days, change your password. So that duration that an account says, you know what, we are going to, this account that we have taken all the details, we are going to strike in the next 3 months. If you are so lucky that you so adhere to always changing your password, it means that in a way, you might be safeguarded to say that, okay, this password that we thought we retrieve, why the person was putting the password on that public Wi-Fi, as they want to use it now, it just says wrong password. Some people are also of this bad habit. I think it's just now I'm jumping, but bad habit of saving their password on the computer. It is a very wrong thing to do. Wrong, very wrong. It just shows how the person is so naive about what all cybersecurity or all information security is about. Some, they have got 4 different emails accounts or 4 accounts, and they're still going to use the same password for those each accounts. So it means that when somebody strikes one of your accounts, it means that such an individual has all your other accounts. So please and please and please, one password is not good enough. If you have 4 accounts online, then have 4 different passwords. Also, please make sure that the kind of password you will be having is not 123 admin 1234. Or I'm Tosi, I'm Shakira, and then I say Tosi, and then my date of birth. Oh, because these are they are software that is being used to crack people's passwords in any way. So you can see how the people in the cyber world or cyber security or information security, they know how these things work, and they are so meticulous about how they do on the internet. And that's why it's important that I'm happy that this kind of conversation is even taking place, because some of us are so naive that some you will be eating jollof rice posted. Oh, I'm intro now posted. Whatever now, location, my geolocation, everything. You do not know that all these location or this whatever that a malicious person is somewhere. And it doesn't have to be that the person knows you. It's just a list of it. They don't need to even know you. But as long as their whole system is showing that so person just said, I'm at Icho now. Oh, I'm at Abuja International Airport now. Blah blah blah. And then they just try to start tracing that person. Not that they know that the person has money. In most cases, they don't even know. And eventually they still, because of the research I've done, they still find out that they are prey of even the rich ones. So please and please, do not in any way save your password. Do not write your password down. Do not have a password that signifies your date of birth, or signify that whatever your name means, or also signify maybe your dad's name, or oh, I'm from Ibadan. Okay, then I have to, so my password has to be a combination of Ibadan and all that. Because these things are the easiest thing for hackers to just, get hold of, because there's a software for that to even crack people's password anyway. So make sure you also use 2-factor authentication, and then I will explain that. So normally you have an email account, and normally you just put your password. When you go a step further to say, they call it multi-factor authentication, then it prompts you. You put your what's it called? Your password initially, and then it prompts you again and say, put your passcode, for instance. That's a multi-factor authentication. Meaning, even if they get hold of my password, then they can't get the 2 at the same time. But of course, if you're careless, they will get hold of the password and get hold of whatever passcode. So it still all boils down to how careful such individual is. Also, please and please know what you download. A lot of these free downloads that we do comes with malware, comes with spyware, comes with viruses. And then you download on your system, but before you know it, the virus is now on your system, going to your computer settings, going to your registry, and then before you know it, you are opening your computer, you want to open your computer the next day, and then your computer is just blank. And then you just go wondering what has happened. I just got this laptop now. So what's going on? So, like I said, 2-factor authentication is the same thing. The extension is you now having extra passcodes. Careful of where you shop online. Now, the easiest way to know a secure site is where you see that padlock around, I'm not sure where it is now, maybe on HTTPS. Either you see it before the HTTPS or shortly after the HTTPS. That is a sign that you are on a secure website. Once you don't see that padlock logo, just excuse yourself. Just know that you are in the wrongest of the wrongest domain. That website is not secure. Also, well, for those in the diaspora, and I think some part of Nigeria too can also have started using that. Pay with your smartphone simply means that because whatever bank that you are using, so here, for instance, I'm using, say, HSBC, for instance. In HSBC, when I'm opening that account, they ask, in a way, they ask for what kind of phone are you using. They ask for your your phone number. They ask for so many things that at the end of the day, immediately, if, so I'll give an instance. I wanted to make a payment in euro. And it was because for me, I'm a night crawler, so I work actively during the night. And so that was during the night I wanted to make that payment. And then the next thing I saw my bank did was they sent me a message to say, did you initiate this? If you did initiate this, press 2 or something, and send to them. I did that. Still, I was unable to make that. I was unable to do that online transaction. And then I waited till morning, and then I called the bank. Do you know, with the security check that Lloyd's Bank was questioning and was asking me, I spent almost 1 hour on the phone asking different kind of questions. When was your last transaction? When did you do this? When did you? So what have they done? Because they don't want me to come back and say, no, it wasn't me. I was under duress. Somebody just said I should make a particular payment. Not until when I passed all their security questions did they now allow, unblock from their hand, to make my card for me to be able to use that card. And immediately the guy said, now you can make your transaction. Now go ahead. He even went further to say, log on to your mobile app. What is your, he was asking that. I said, eventually, of course, I knew what he was doing was for my own betterment and for my own safety. And not to answer that, you've asked me like 4 or 5 questions. I've already answered it completely. Why are you going extra mile to keep asking? And the simple question is, how do I know that you are the one? The only way I can know that the person I'm talking to at the other end is the owner of this account is for you to pass all the security questions that I'm asking you. And believe me not, almost 1 hour. In fact, at the point I wanted to just hang up, but I needed to make that transaction. So I had to wait patiently to let it go through. So sometimes you would think that your transaction has been, you would think that, I mean, here in UK, you would think that transaction has been. Before you know it, when you wake up, you just realize that either 2 ways. Either they tell you themselves by sending you a message to say your transaction was successful, or they call you and say, did you initiate this transaction? If yes, and ask other series of questions to ascertain, because they don't want you to come crying at that, oh, almost £10,000 is off my account. I was not the one that initiated that, because they won't take responsibility for that. So in order for them to save their own side, they will do all the necessary things that they have to do so that you will come back and be saying, no, it wasn't me. And that's how they go through that. I don't know if, I mean, before I left Nigeria, I don't know if the only thing I know GT does is just send you a mail and that stuff, and that ends. Maybe if you do not respond, I think in fact, the transaction would have gone anyway. The transaction would have gone first before them even sending you a mail to say, are you the one that initiated this? Whereas the opposite is what is obtainable here. They will not allow the transaction to go because they look at, and that's where computing comes. They look at your pattern of how you transfer, how you make transaction. Once they see that it looks as if for the past 1 or 2 years, this person has not transferred anything above £500. And then suddenly she's saying, I want to transfer £5,000. That's a flag for them. They won't allow that transaction to go. They will peg it. And then until they are convinced that the owner of the account was not under duress to make that transfer, and that is the owner of the account that has made, it's really is the one initiating the transfer. That's only when that transaction will go through. So when they say you use smartphone, so basically for that example I gave, the guy said, oh, do you have your mobile phone on now? Do you have our mobile app? Okay, go on to the mobile app. And he was asking me to do 1 or 2 things. And he was also saying it from his end. Even though he will not know my password, he will not know because of course, as safety is, they don't know your password, they don't know whatever. Or whatever steps they're asking you to do, they're also saying it from their hand.
Salam, sister, you just reminding me you have a couple minutes left.
All right. So I just read through. Now you have to also be careful of people you meet online. You also be careful of what you post, because like I said, the internet does not forget. So if you post anything that is derogatory, it's just abusive and what that the internet remembers and they can get back to you. Always make sure that you do not save your password in any browser. Don't fall prey for phishing scams, phishing mails that they will come. These guys as if it's the bank, your bank that is the one sending. Note for sure, your bank will never ask you to disclose your password or passcode for them. And then please, lastly, is that make sure that your antivirus is up to date. Make sure you've got different email accounts and passwords. If you are, for people that have different email accounts, make sure the passwords are not the same. And please protect your social media privacy. Not every dictionary would you want to allow in. These are my references. And thank you for listening.
Jazakallah khairan for that lecture, very informative lecture, sister. I'm sure everyone can agree that we all learned a lot from it. Just as I'm summarizing the lecture, if you have any questions.
Questions from the viewers? I think there are some questions in the chat box, so do you want me to read those?
Sorry, my computer's just it just paused. Sorry, can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Rahma. Oh, can you all still hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you. Would you like me to read questions from the chat box, or are we waiting for people to raise their hands and then we'll take those questions?
Okay. Sorry, my laptop keeps switching off. I don't know if you can still hear me. But I just wanted to quickly, just whilst we're summarizing the lecture, if you like, as Rahma said, if you have questions, just put it in the chat box. But Jazakallah khairan for that lecture. I learned a lot. I learned about passwords. I think that's something that we all fall victim to, having similar or the same passwords for different websites and things like that. And it's very easy to just use the same password over and over again. And also about putting things online. So when you're somewhere and you're putting your location, you're at this breakfast place, you're on holiday here, being careful that there's people that are watching you, that can see where you are and how that can be dangerous. And I think a lot of young people, they can, or just anyone of any age, but it can fall victim to putting up where you are and just talking about things that other people might not necessarily need to know. And Sister Shakira also spoke about, using fake websites, and making sure that there's a padlock to show that the website is safe, on the side in front of the HTTPS. And when you're using passwords and things like that, making sure you're not putting in any personal information, whether it's your name, the year you were born in, or things that can be easily identifiable towards you. And just making sure that, we don't save our passwords as well on our computers, on our devices, because if you're hacked, that those passwords are then public domain to that hacker, essentially. So we have some questions from the chat. So there's a question about the website. So how do we know, which was also one of my questions, Sister Shakira, how do we know what browsing website is best when we are browsing on the internet?
Like I said, thank you for the question, but like I said, I listed some of the browsers that are known globally to be secured at the moment. You have got Internet Explorer, you have got Chrome, Google Chrome, you've got Safari for those using Mac, you've got Firefox, you've got Mozilla. I mean, there are known browsers. I mean, for the malicious ones, because like I said, the cybersecurity people will know the malicious ones. So there's no point taking me into the cybersecurity, taking us into the cyber field. What is important is that just know that Firefox, Google Chrome, all these Internet Explorer are secured web browsers.
Okay. So that's those ones. If you recognize those names, those are the ones that you should use essentially.
Yep.
So we have another question from Anissa. It says iPhone saves your passwords automatically in the password menu. Is this a practice that we should do? Should we delete these passwords that are saved into our phones?
Okay, so for iPhone, for instance, you realize that you have your own, for those using iPhone, sorry, I'm using iPhone, but I don't even know. You realize that you have the iCloud password or passcode? Yes. So that's synonymous to what you see that oftentimes iPhone itself asks you to either change that passcode, or you just know that passcode, like I said, because it's their own platform, it's their own, what's it called now? It's their own platform. You are in a way secured. The moment you go outside, how you will not be secure is that using that iPhone, using an unsecure public Wi-Fi, and then you start browsing, and then before you know it, all your information is just out there. So iPhone that has secured you to say, okay, your password, everything, you are secured. But the moment you go to use anything, for me, what I tell people is that, and just know that anything that you think is free is actually not free. So be wary of free Wi-Fi, free internet, free. You won't see people that are IT conscious or security conscious. You won't see them going traveling and then be using what's it called? Public Wi-Fi. And that's why when you notice, even for those that travel often, if it's a Wi-Fi that is protected, is either you use your boarding pass or something that is just attached to you before you can go into that particular, before you can sign on. And that's why you see that logo to say that it requires password, and that password might be that is your boarding pass. Immediately you put your boarding pass or whatever code, it gets you. It shows that you are on a secured public Wi-Fi. But the ones that you just connect freely, please be wary about it. Be wary about you sharing internet, except your family members, and that of course you trust your family members. But once you go out, oh, this person is my friend. Oh, it's quick, can I quickly use your your internet? Be wary, because you don't know what that other person is up to. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's very easy to use the Wi-Fi's, in Starbucks or whatever, just to use internet. But I think we have to be careful about whether that is safe. And as Sister Shakira said, whether it's nothing is free. Essentially, there is a risk that comes with these things. Another question we've got is, what can parents do to secure their children's devices?
Okay, so I honestly cannot, it's not something that you put, oh, go for this. There are lots of how do I explain now? It depends on what and why you want to, what exactly are you securing in your children's device, or what exactly is it that you don't want your children to even be exposed to, for instance. So that would be answered by each parent to say, okay, take for instance, I don't want my kids to watch. I'm just saying, I don't want my kids to go to porn site, for instance. And I've got a smart TV at home, and I've got so many things that is on the internet connected. Now you can put, for those that use, is it decoder they call it, or for those that use this DSTV or whatever, I think they put is it child? There's a name that you just know that once they press that particular site, it just says that this site either is blocked or this site cannot be reached or the code is not available. So there are so many measures that parents, but each parent will decide what and what they are securing or what and what they don't want the children to be exposed to. So it's not something that you just say, oh, do this. The parent will be able to decide at first. The parent should decide what they want for themselves or they want for their kids. And that's when they can then put all these security measures. I hope I answered the question.
Jazakallah khairan for that. Yeah, I think it is just dependent on what you want for your children, as Sister Shakira said, and making sure that you are checking and you are making sure that your child is able to access what you want them to access and not able to access things that you would deem inappropriate. So if anyone would like to ask a question, you can raise your hand and we can switch your mic on. But a question that I had from watching it is, how often would you say it's good practice to change your passwords on like websites that you use?
I think I measured that already. Every 90 days is the best practice. Every 90 days, you should change your password. I mean, to the minimum. I mean, you can go ahead. It can be every month. It just can be every other day, depending on how often you go on the internet. I mean, for someone like me that 24/7 I'm on the internet, then you should know that I change my password often. So I don't even wait till the 90 days before I change my password. But like I said, 70 to 80%, all these things that I've mentioned if you are doing them, at least your chances or chance of being hacked is just slim. It's just slim. Doesn't mean that you also doing all these things, you are 100% secured. There's nothing like 100% security. There's nothing like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We have Sister Rahma that's raised her hand. Sister Rahma, if you want to unmute yourself, would you like to make a comment, ask a question?
Oh, I wanted to, well, both make a comment and ask a question. First of all, I'd like to say Jazakallah khair. Thank you, Aisha, for hosting, and for Sister Shakira for a very thorough introduction to internet safety. So my question is, it kind of took me back to a time when I just moved for uni, and because I was moving with my brother, we had bought some things from the house online. And one of those platforms is a very popular one, Amazon. And following some purchases, I received an email saying that I purchased a chandelier for £200 from Amazon, which obviously when you first move is not something you'd be doing. And it said, if this wasn't you, click this link. And everything looked very legit. They had the Amazon logo on it, the way that it was structured, everything looked very legit. And so you click on it and then it takes you to a login page. And that's how some of the hackers were able to get some of those details in that time. So my question really is, what are the red flags to look out for? What could I have done to prevent that from happening? So yeah, what would someone in that situation be able to do to stop that from happening, where they fall vulnerable to hackers like that?
Okay, so if I got you right, so the first thing I would think you should do, immediately you got that mail to say that you purchased something, you're supposed to ring Amazon. You're supposed to tell them, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. So I give you an instance. Back home, I went I went to a branch of a bank at Adetokumba. I asked that I wanted to have their mobile app, and believe me, they told me this I what to do, blah 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 blah. And then I got back home. Like I told you, I'm a night crawler. So I woke up and then I saw a mail. So when I saw the mail, maybe because I just woke up, it didn't click to me that it was a phishing mail. The thing just said, you came into the bank, you press up for a mobile app, then go ahead, click this. I had finished clicking before I realized that, wait a minute, the whole thing, then was Diamond Bank, the Dana houses. The whole thing looked like Diamond, the whole thing, but I clicked before my brain reset to say, hang on, this is a phishing mail. And just as I was seated there, within a tweaking of an eye, Baga debit alert of 50K. Baga had not even, I was still trying to figure out what's going on. Another alert, 100K. And then, believe me, thank God that even when I clicked that mail, I've not just come back to sleep or left my phone somewhere that the alert would just be buzzing. And then before I knew it, maybe $1 million would have been withdrawn from my account. I had to call their customer service. And then, of course, immediately the customer service was telling me, but we did send this mail. I could not honor that. Can you imagine? Even cybersecurity people will fall into it. And so what she said, this mail did not come for us. Of course, I knew what she was saying. And this is a phishing mail. Of course, I knew what she was saying. So she told me, the only thing I could do for you now, the account, I could see that this account, whoever is withdrawing this account, is taking it to Sterling Bank. So I'm going to block your account first. And then that at least Sterling Bank. And because I knew the implication. It's not even because of the huge amount I was involved, but I wanted to fight it finish. And that the next day I was traveling to Abuja. And so, but I made sure I called their customer service again and told them, and they were like, blah, 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 blah. I wrote petition. I went to the police station. We went to Diamond Bank and we requested that this social account was investigated. Believe me and you, of course, the head of their IT eventually called and said, Madam, blah, blah, blah. I said, yes. Now, do you recognize whoever you chatted with a day before that you came into our branch? I said, yes. But the only thing is that I'm not in Lagos now. I'm in Abuja. So what do you want me to do? It took them almost 1 week. I knew what was going on, that it was an internal thing. So they didn't want to disclose that some of their, that's what happens. Once they just check you and size you up that you are coming to customer service and you're asking seemingly foolish questions, and they go to check your account and they see that you've got, relatively okay amount of money, they will not be the one to direct you to do it. They already have those bad guys outside. And then they'll just tell them, this so person. And then if you fall for it, like I said, it's not that they just singularly pick you. They just do it random. That mail that was sent to me would have been sent to over like 100 people. It's the person that falls for it. And if the person that also equally falls for it does not even have anything in their account, for that particular day, yes, the person is safe because you do not have anything in your account. But it does not mean that they will still try it again and then. So my money was refunded back just because I had immediately saw what was wrong. And I rang them, even though, during the process of me still, hold on, all our customers are seriously busy, the debit alert started coming in. But eventually, when I got through to the customer, what they did was to block that account so that even the person. So what it meant was that now they blocked the account, except before the lady blocked the account. If the lady had not blocked the account, okay, so the person can go to Sterling Bank and maybe use the ATM to do it. But even at that, even if the person had jumped, but because I've lodged that complaint, in a way, the bank will know how to get that person and say, you know what, we want you to come and do something in the branch and blah, 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 because they know it's being flagged. So the first thing, sorry that I have to digest, but I like to use real scenarios so that we understand, I can, hammer my point. The first thing to have, whatever mail that you have got to say you have, to give them a call and say, we are getting this. And then from their end, they sort it out. Thank you.
Jazakallah khair, and thank you for using a personal story as well. As we can see, it is something that can literally affect us all. I mean, I have a friend that she got she got a message from Instagram from one of her friends on Instagram that said they need help getting into their account, and could they please send go into their account and then send a link. And someone had essentially hacked into her friend's account, but she thought that it was her friend. So that's something that can happen. I guess they're getting more creative and smarter. If someone's asking you to send a link, even if it looks like it's your friend's account, just be mindful that that person could have been hacked themselves. So I've got a question in the chat for Sister Shakira. If you have more questions, please send it in the chat box or raise your hand. So the question I've got here is there a secure app that we can use to remember passwords if we need to change them every 90 days? Because we all have if we're having a different password for every site and every site we use has passwords that we need, it can be difficult to remember these passwords for all these different accounts. So is there a secure app that we can use for this?
Yes, there is a secure app. I mean, there's a software, they call it password manager. I don't use it. So it all depends on, like you said, it all depends on our retentive memory. But if you think that you can't remember, then you go for the software password manager. That solves the problem.
Okay, so someone has also said in the chat, password managers, but they've said, please remember to do your independent reviews on these apps. Yeah, personally, I haven't used them as well. I normally just use my iPhone password saver, and that's with my Face ID or fingerprint. Would that be secure enough using like your Face ID?
Yeah, as long as it's your Face ID, as long as that iPhone. So the truth is, yes, you got your phone. So what happens if you misplace your phone or if somebody takes your phone? That's where, so you need to know what application is on that iPhone, so that if you misplace your phone, if you paraventure, you can't call around and say, oh, please stop this, so. Because at the end of the day, once that phone is misplaced, then you don't know whether it's getting to a malicious person. So you need to then know that, oh, you need to call. So this is what you use your phone for. For instance, like I said, I use my phone, mobile app. I mean, what's it called? Bank app. You need to call them and say, please stop this. My phone is, I just misplaced my phone. Please stop all these transactions so that it doesn't come to you as a shock. So it just buttresses the fact that you just have to be vigilant. So whatever that you use, that you know, oh, this looks like this is where I store my thing. Immediately that thing is lost. Quickly find an alternative to block whatever thing that you've got in there, so that you don't, so that you prevent yourself from stories that hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone has also said in the chat to set a Google reminder or just a calendar reminder to remind you every 3 months to change or reset your passwords, which can be that can be a helpful thing if you find it difficult remembering, as I know personally I would. And we have another question for Sister Shakira. It says, opening internet banking on university Wi-Fi and payment with phones. What is your opinion about this?
So it also depends on the university, but opening those things on a university platform, especially in the UK, they are secure. I don't know about Nigeria, but they are secure. So for my uni here, Safo, you've got the normal free open Wi-Fi. I think I lay emphasis on anything that is free, right? So the university has got free Wi-Fi, they have got the secured one. So for me, as a cybersecurity person, I don't go for the open Wi-Fi, even though I know that it's the university that has provided that. And even that is free, you still use your student ID card to even log on. It's free, but they've said it's free. But me, I don't even go there. I go with the one that is secure, that will ask me for my username and also ask me for my password, because perhaps I want to do an internet banking transaction, or I want to do. So, like I said, for the UK university, I can 100%, beat my chest to say that they are secure. But even with that, I know I don't go for any university free Wi-Fi. I don't go for my own university free Wi-Fi. I go for the secure one where I'll put my details. So I think that answers the question.
Yeah, and also with the university Wi-Fi, I know my university is just bringing in two-factor authentication into their like passwords and stuff like that.
Yep.
I'm surprised, to be honest, that we haven't had it before this.
Okay, so for my university now, this is what happened. I want to use my phone, I want to use my laptop, I want to log on. Yeah, you log on, and then it says there's Microsoft Authenticator. You have to go to that authenticator and approve. So it's not just you putting in your password and you think, you have to download that authenticator on your mobile phone, wherever you want to, and then approve that yes, you are the one. If you do not approve, then you go nowhere. So that's another, that which is the two authenticator factor that you're talking about.
Yeah, thank you for that. Another question we had was, if you've already saved your passwords on your computer, how is there a way to like delete this? How would you be able to go about that?
So there's no way for you to delete. The only thing you can do is just change your password, and don't change that particular password that you think you saved. Change it immediately and do not save that password.
So going into basically all the websites that you use and then changing the password.
Change the password, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just seeing that if anyone has any questions they want to ask themselves, please raise your hand and we can unmute. You can unmute and then you can ask the question. I just have a question about how would you be able to, like, what would you recommend in terms of actually having a password that is secure then? Because I know some places say, having numbers and letters as well, not just having letters.
The best practice of a password is that you have a lowercase, you have the uppercase, you have a number, and you have a special character. That's how you have a good password. You have a lowercase, you have the combination of a lowercase, you have a lowercase, uppercase, a special character, and then number, and then number, yes, and then number, and then maybe a minimum of 8 to 12 length. But make sure that in that length, whether it's 8 length or 12 length or whatever length, make sure that that password comprises of a lowercase, an uppercase, a special character, and a number.
Thank you. So that's just, if everyone can make a note of that so you don't forget as well. And sometimes I know websites will tell you this, but some websites don't when you're making a password. So we've got another question. Should we back up all our photos to Google or save all our conversations to WhatsApp?
So I have 2 responses to that. One, and I think I mentioned that initially. If you don't want to be hacked, or if you don't want to be susceptible to be hacked, or you don't want to have horrible experiences, then don't be on the internet. How easy can that be? Of course, that's not, because we are in the global age, so that's not even possible. But that's the only way you can say for sure, beat your chest that you know what, I cannot even be out on the internet because I don't even have the media. I don't even have an internet presence. But if you have got internet presence, then you can only be careful. I keep emphasizing the word careful. You can be deliberate also. I keep emphasizing the word deliberate or intentional to know where you post your things, whatever things you're posting, whatever kind of conversation that you're having, whether you save your conversation, whether you back up whatever, as long as those backing up their photos on Google, you're backing it up on cloud. So what happens if whatever cloud platform infrastructure you are using is being hacked? What happens? That means your information then is out there. So you're technically still not safe. So the advice will be, whatever you think you're backing up on cloud, whether on cloud or physically, this information, if they get out, that's the question. If this information get out there, is it going to affect me in any way? If it's not going to affect me anyway, okay, I can back up on Google. But know for sure that the day the Google platform goes or somebody asks Google, then know for sure that you might be also part of the people that the hackers have gotten their information. So a few years ago, LinkedIn was hacked. Some few years ago, Yahoo Mail was hacked. So the truth about it, that's why I said, the first is don't be on that space. That's the only way you can confidently say, you know what, nobody they don't know me. Before my late dad died, he never used to use ATM card. He tell you how much do I have to use that I want to use ATM card. So it means that nobody can even clone his own. So there are some people you deliberately make some decisions. As learned as he was, he didn't use ATM. He will write you a check. That is coming from me. But that you use ATM, nothing. Daddy come and do online transactions. He's you. That's, yes, you will say it's okay. Yes, that's not the generation. Of course, it's not the generation of global, Jet A, but that's a way of saving yourself. You know that there's no how. Come rain, come sunshine. Is it the person that does not even have a ATM card that you say ATM card is included? And the so-called check that is going to issue, he will write instructions. So even if you forge or whatever, he knows. So these are, we might see it as a local way or a traditional way, but there's so many ways a lot of people are preventing themselves from all this, whatever. So like I said, you want to be out there, then know the kind of information you put out. So that when whatever platform goes wrong, or whatever hackers get hold of, whatever your information that will be hacked will not have any negative implication towards you or against you. That's the only way. But for me to say, once you're on cloud, you're 100%, you're secured, then I'm telling you a big lie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Shakira, for giving us a selection, for answering our questions today. It's been really informative, as I've said before. If anyone has any questions, this is just your last opportunity to put in the chat or to raise your hand. But other than that, we can give you an opportunity to please let us know about your charity, Sister Shakira.
I think there's one question I might, maybe it was answered because I was off for just a second. The last question was on saving pictures onto Google Drive. So I'll just read the question. Should we back up all of our photos to Google or save our conversations to WhatsApp?
Oh, yeah, we just did that question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Rahma.
Sorry, I was off for a second.
Thank you. So yeah, I was just gonna give an opportunity to share a little bit about your charity, The Shade, Sister Shakira.
Oh, thank you. But the thing is, it's not a charity. It's an NGO, non-for-profit organization. So the Shade of Women Foundation was founded some 5 years ago to empower, to focus on domestic violence victims, here the women and the children. But of course, the foundation also recognizes that men can also be in that space. They can be the one that they are being abused, but primarily our focus is on women and children. Yeah, so that's what the foundation does. For more information, I think we could just go on the website of the foundation and see, well, that's basically what we do. We help the domestically abused women and children. Yeah.
What's the website? Sorry, so we can put it in the chat.
So it's www.tswf.org.ng.
That's www.tswf.org.ng.
.org.org.ng.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Rahma's put that in the chat. If you'd like to look at Sister Shakira's NGO, as she said, if you'd like to see more information, please click.
It's a small W, so it's www. It's not a capital W. So the whole W are all in small letters.
Yeah, thank you. We've put that again in the chat. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much for talking with us today about the topic of cybersecurity, and thank you for everyone for joining. Before I do close, I'd just like to talk about Ramadan is coming, and I hope we're all excited and getting prepared for the holy month. Salam sisters are going to have upcoming Ramadan lectures as we normally do during the holy month. May Allah grant us the grace to witness the month in good health and make success of the holy month. Ameen. So we look forward to seeing you guys there in our Ramadan lectures. Ameen. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much. My name's Aisha and I've been your host for today. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi